Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a final series review on Our Dreams at Dusk, Shimanami Tasogare. This is by Yuhki Kamatani, 7 Seas release, 4 volumes in total, absolutely stunningly beautiful, LGBTQ plus drama, life kind of situational story. Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about this. If you're looking for a more critical review of this series, this is not the place to be because I love this series. I absolutely love it. I knew I would love it. I pre-ordered all 4 volumes before any of them were even released. I was so impressed with this. This is written by a non-binary mangaka, which makes it even better to have an own voices kind of work. Yeah, it's so well done. It is about our main character here, who is in it seems like a small town. Kaname is his name, and I think he's new. I'm pretty sure he's new in town, or he's just started high school or something. He's like 15, and he's kind of outed at school. Some of his classmates, I guess, find gay porn on his phone, and so he starts getting teased. And so he's struggling with his sexuality. He doesn't really know. He's pretty sure he's gay, but he doesn't really know, and he's getting stressed because his classmates are making fun of him. And it kind of starts off with him ready to kill himself. More kind of in the way of, like, this is so difficult. Why is my life so difficult? I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I should just jump off this ledge. Like, not necessarily thoroughly thinking it through, but just kind of a passionate in the moment. This would be so much easier if I wasn't alive right now. And so he comes across this person named Someone, and Someone just kind of brings him into a drop-in center and kind of welcomes him into this warm and welcoming space, which happens to be mostly inhabited by LGBTQ people of all ages and identities. And they just kind of go and they hang out and they feel safe and they have a good time. They also do nonprofit work by renovating old historic houses, rundown houses in the town, and making them into new things. So the drop-in center was one of the projects that they had worked on, and now it's a drop-in center for folks to come and feel safe and comfortable. And so Kaname gets involved with this nonprofit group, and these LGBT people who are, just living their lives and trying their best, and he kind of is learning more about himself while also learning about other identities and other people in the community and the struggles that they're all facing. And it's so beautifully done. It is so beautiful, and it covers so many identities, which I really appreciated. And it just, if you're in the LGBT community, it feels good to be represented. If you're not, it's a nice education tool that doesn't necessarily throw everything in your face. It's not spelling everything out for you. It really is a story, so it doesn't feel like it's a PowerPoint presentation of these are the identities and this is what they mean and this is what we're doing. Like, no, it just feels like a story that has these characters in it, and you may not be a part of the community, but you can still absolutely enjoy this story and probably learn something. And even if you are in the community, you'll probably learn something. And it's just, it feels nice to be represented in a story, in a medium that I enjoy so much. Beautiful artwork, beautiful storytelling, heartfelt moments and heartbreaking moments. I said this in my first impressions review. A lot of people, when they did their first impressions, were saying it's really sad and really depressing and really heavy. And I get that. Because, yes, it does deal with things like suicide, and it does deal with things like depression and anxiety and your identity and families and unaccepting people and people who claim to be allies but aren't really, and crushes that probably are not going to go anywhere. But this series to me felt like home. It felt so nostalgic. It felt like a hug from an old friend, because I have been very involved with the LGBT community um, for about 8 years or so. So since I was a younger teenager. And so I related very heavily to our main character, Kaname. I related to the children in the series, because obviously I didn't just one day wake up and go, well, I'm part of the community. No, it was internalized feelings I'd had since I was a child. And so I connected very immensely with the younger people in this series, but also with the adults, because now I'm an adult and I'm still dealing with some of these issues. And it just, I didn't, well, I cried at the end, but I didn't cry throughout it, which shocked me because typically I do. Uh, but it just felt so overwhelmingly like my heart just like welled up as I read this, because it feels so good to read about an experience that I'd had. And we talk about representation in media in general and how important it is to have representation of minorities. And I don't think that people understand that, when you see yourself represented, it feels so validating. And it's not that I need the validation from other people, but it feels validating for me and myself. And and to see it done in a way that doesn't end with all of the characters killing themselves, spoiler, like, the stories that we were told and the stories that I read growing up, still, I'm only 23, I'm not that old. The fact that I was reading stories of LGBT people or watching movies and shows and books and whatever, and almost all of them were ending with the person killing themselves or dying, being murdered, is quite problematic, because that tells you that as a queer person, all you can amount to is a young death. Or if you don't die, you're going to be miserable and alone, because nobody is going to want to be around you. And to have a story like this where people are thriving and successful in whatever that definition of the word successful means to them, and that they're happy, and that they can be happy. Even if you struggle, there is a light at the end of that tunnel. And there is a way to come out of it. And there are people around you that you can lean on and who will support you and love you. This series embodies all of that. And that is why this is so important that this was translated into English, and so important that it existed in the first place. And that's the reason why I also am continuously upset that Wandering Sun is not complete in English. And maybe never will be. Probably never will be. I am holding out hope, because that is it. This is the first series since Wandering Sun that I felt super connected to in a way that is just far beyond just reading manga this is something that if this had been around in English when I was a teenager, this would have been the one that saved my life. Wandering Sun, because of when it happened and the age I was and the state I was in my life, that one legitimately saved my life. This one would have been that had it come out earlier. I'm now at a point in my life where this one was just a really beautiful kind of cherry on top for me to ground myself and remember, the things that I went through, the things my friends went through, the things that some people in my life are still going through, and some of the things that I'm still dealing with and newly dealing with now as an adult queer person. Yeah, it's just really, really beautifully done. And I highly recommend reading it, regardless of if you are in the LGBT community or not. The art is gorgeous, the story is wonderful. Seven Seas is killing it with these releases of these different LGBT titles. And yeah, highly, highly recommend it. It is so stunning. If you have read Our Dreams at Dusk, please let me know your thoughts. If you have any other recommendations for some nice LGBT related titles, please leave them in the comments for myself and other people who may be perusing through the comments and are looking for some recommendations. Yeah, I'm so happy that we got this series, and thank you for watching.